to our study in Proverbs chapter 5. Looking at a study I call Bitter as Wormwood, because that's right from the text, which we're going to read, which we might as well read right now before we get into it. So it says, Proverbs 5, verse 1, My son, be attentive to my wisdom, incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep discretion, and your lips may guard knowledge. Actually, we'll probably just stop there, because that's what we're going to talk about today, verses 1 and 2. So the idea, we see again Solomon going back to this. He's going to say, My son, be attentive, listen to what I'm talking about, and incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep discretion, your lips may guard knowledge. So you go back to this idea again, commanding his son to listen again. Keep listening. Don't forget to listen. And so this is very important. This idea of teaching children, teaching those who were, that were over, to listen. Be attentive. Pay attention. I mean, when I'm teaching children, I try to make sure that, they're paying attention, at least as much as they can. So, but it's like this idea of you got to keep encouraging them to pay attention. We don't have to always give in to the childishness, right? We can expect them and set the bar high for them and try to get them to meet that. Other places are not going to do that. So, but especially in the church, that's what we should do. We see here again that he says, My son, be attentive to my wisdom, my understanding. You may keep discretion, and your lips may guard knowledge. So he's saying mine, right? My wisdom, pay attention to that. Incline your ear to my understanding. So we teach best what we do ourselves, right? This is my wisdom. Now, is it originating from him? No, because where did he get his wisdom from? From God. And so, but it is now his. He's taken possession of this wisdom. He's taken possession of this understanding, and now he's imparting it to others. See, that's what we do best, what we do ourselves. We teach best what we do ourselves. It's hard to teach as a hypocrite. It's possible, but it's not the ideal situation, obviously. So, as a teacher of the Bible, you have to do what the Bible says. As a teacher of wisdom, you have to be wise. As to be a teacher of understanding, you have to understand. You have to understand what you're talking about. So we always do best, or we always teach best what we do ourselves. It has to be ours. So no matter what subject you're teaching, especially the Bible, you have to do it yourself. Don't be a hypocrite in teaching. And point number 2 today is that listening to the wise is always useful. Because where does it say here? That you may keep discretion and your lips may guard knowledge. Keep discretion and your lips may guard knowledge. So those are the 2 things. Listening to the wise is useful. How is it useful? First of all, keep discretion. You want to know right and wrong. You want to be able to discern what's going on. That's what listening to wisdom and understanding are for. You want to know how to live rightly. You want to know how to live in such a way that pleases God. Well, then, there you go. Listen to wisdom. Incline your ear to understanding. Listen to those who are wise. Listen to those who have gone before you. Listen to the words of Solomon, which God had written down here. Those will make you wise. You're listening to a wise man tell you what you need to know. There you go. So you will learn discretion, but then also it will help you to guard knowledge. It'll keep you, it'll help your lips may guard knowledge, so that when you're talking, your lips may guard knowledge. Makes sense, right? I don't know if we have to explain it too much, but so when you're speaking, you're guarding knowledge with your lips, with what your speech is. And that's really what all along, the people of God were supposed to do, especially the Old Testament priests. In Malachi 2:7, God has a problem with them because he says, for the lips of a priest should guard knowledge, and people should seek instruction from his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts. And so God had this rebuke against the priests because that was not the case, right? They were not doing that. But he says the lips of the priest should guard knowledge. When they're speaking, knowledge should be coming out, right? Defending knowledge, speaking knowledge. That's what should be happening. But they weren't doing that. And it should be such a situation that the people could have gone to them and sought instruction. And why is that the case? Because he's the messenger of the Lord of hosts. That's what a priest was supposed to be. That was supposed to be the case, but that's God's issue with the Old Testament priests, that they weren't doing that. They had left the Lord behind. That's why he had to send prophets, because the priests weren't doing it, so he had to send prophets to rebuke them, like Malachi, because he was the one that spoke and guarded knowledge, but they had left it far behind. And so that was the problem. There was no priest in Israel that was doing what they were supposed to be doing. People couldn't go there because their lips weren't guarding knowledge. You listen to them, you might get a bunch of garbage. It's like, well, why would I go listen to him? Exactly. And that was the problem. So none of the priests were leading the people to the Lord. They were actually leading people away from the Lord. And that's a problem today, too, with pastors, right? Pastors their lips don't guard knowledge. And so they're speaking a bunch of nonsense, speaking against the Lord. But then pretending that someone should go listen to them. Like, we don't need to listen to you. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not guarding knowledge with your lips. You're guarding sin. You're making excuses for yourself. A lot of people do that. A lot of pastors do that. Guarding themselves with their lips, guarding their own sinful lives and their own sinful indulgences with their lips. And so they teach their people in the church things that aren't true just to cover themselves, which is a horrible thing to do, which has always been in the church, unfortunately. If you look at church history, that's always been a problem. But we as people need to be aware. We need to listen to Solomon here. Listen, be attentive, grow in our wisdom, incline our ear to understanding, so that these things will happen. That people will be able to come to us and say, you know the Lord, you know knowledge. Let me hear from you. That should be our desire, that our lips are always guarding knowledge, and that we have discretion. We know what is right and what is wrong. We know what is good and evil, and we're able to figure that out. So that is, again, the command to listen. This is important stuff, right? So whatever comes next is going to be equally important, and we need to pay attention to what comes after this little introduction again to listen. So come back next time, and that's what we'll talk about.